How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. Today we're going over a video from South End Dog Training. Somebody suggested that I go over one of their videos. I've gone over, I believe, one or two in the past, but here's another one for y'all. So this one is titled Staffie, as an American Staffordshire Terrier, or, here in, I guess in the UK it would be Staffordshire Bull Terrier, one or the other, a Staffie, and how you're feeling can affect your dog. Very true. That if you're feeling emotional, if you're really high energy or really low energy, I mean, you can end up taking it out on your dog. If you're nervous, you can act nervous, and that can affect your dog's emotions and their energy, and not necessarily that they, feed off of you as being weak, but if your heart rate goes up, they can sense that and they can smell that, and their heart rate might go up. So if you're anxious, they might become anxious, or you might tighten the lead more. You might act differently. You have different pheromones and hormones that you release that are out of your control. You have stress, sweat, and things like that, and your dog can smell those and detect that that's different from your normal, regular smell, or when you're happy or calm. So yes, these things can affect our dogs, especially if we have a very good, strong bond with them. There's a hole in this fence here, so I'm assuming you covered that for a reason, so I guess we got to be aware of this fence. But anyway, using this video under Fair Use Act for educational purposes, criticism, giving my point of view, trying to give a voice to the dog, and maybe counteract some misinformation here. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
Massively dog reactive.
Massively.
Aggressively dog reactive.
So it looks like the car here is moving, so I'm assuming that's her dog in there. It is like I'm not laughing that the dog is aggressive by any means or reactive. It's just this is like Zeus. Zeus on the channel. He's a very, very reactive dog. That he reminds me a lot of this same situation with her little Staffie.
I think it's fear aggression. He's reactive to people, but in a very friendly way. Yep. He's typical Staffie.
Okay, so it sounds like she said that he's reactive to people in a very friendly way. So it sounds like frustration to me. If he is in a very friendly way, then he could be frustrated that he can't get to them. So he has the leash reactivity because of that barrier. He can't get to the person, or there is a barrier here, leads to barrier frustration, barrier reactivity, meaning they want to go say hi but they can't, and so over time that turns to frustration, which can turn to other behavior, such as barking, growling, lunging, and all that.
He's fine if the dogs stay away from him, and if he gets used to a dog, he knows it. Like where I live in a livery yard, and there's a lady that's got horses there. He's fine with the horses. He loves horses.
Good. That's awesome.
And she's got a dog that she brings, and at first he was really reactive to her, but now that he knows she won't come anywhere near him because she won't, he just ignores her. He just does nothing to do with it.
Okay, so that's fine. That's okay for a dog to not want to play with other dogs or not want other dogs in their space. Just like Adonis, he did not like dogs being in his space. When he's a Shiba, so he's very particular anyway who his friends are. And two, he has also been attacked multiple times when he was on leash with me. We were minding our own business, and some stupid person and their untrained off-leash dog they have no control over, although they scream it's friendly, would run up to Adonis and start a fight. Or even just a straight-up aggressive dog would run over and try to start a fight with Adonis. And thankfully nothing bad ever happened, but I became the scary dog lady, and I would scream and kick and throw whatever I had to keep dogs at a distance to prevent that from happening. So, and people always look at me like I'm the one who's, crazy. But that's why I'm so irritated by people who have uncontrollable off-leash animals. Not everybody wants to be your friend, but that's a different soapbox. But the point here is that your dog doesn't have to be friends with other dogs. It's perfectly fine. We want them to be able to be safe, for their own sake and for your sake, where they're not redirecting on you, which means they turn around, they nip at you, bite at you. And it would be nice the dog doesn't have to feel threatened by other dogs. I like to teach dogs over time that they can just tolerate other dogs in the vicinity and trust me to keep them safe.
Stay away from him.
Yep.
But instead of just ignoring them, he goes instantly and he chooses violence every time.
The Staffie way.
Yeah.
Let's get him out. Let's see what's going on. Oh, look at you.
Ah, cutie. Gonna go pee.
That's alright. Bless him. Is that how long you've Travel down in 4
4.5
hours.
I like that she has him on a nice wide, I know he's kind of stuck here, but I like how she has him on a nice wide flat buckle collar. Lots of surface area. My guess is that he's going to put this dog in either a prong collar or a slip lead, and at some point maybe even a shock collar.
Was it just taking here?
Wired, mate. Wired.
He's,
My usual hut where there's tea and coffee. Yeah, we're far away from tea and coffee at this stage.
a few years ago.
Okay, so this dog is already pulling really hard. That would be the first thing I work on. If this, I mean, this could very well be part of your problem, is that when you're walking, the leash is already tight, so he's already going into opposition reflex, pulling against a pull. He could already be a little bit more frustrated or a little bit more, feel more trapped when he does see another dog. So I would work on this before we even, I want them to be able to be on a loose leash, no matter the length or distance, before we start working on them seeing a dog while they're on loose leash, because then if we can keep them on a loose leash while they're seeing a dog at a distance, and we can keep them from, pulling and going crazy, and they learn to give into pressure very lightly, using just pressure and release like steps. I'll show you an example here. So this is a demonstration here with
You're walking Adonis.
Adonis.
I don't want him to eat this grass. He likes to eat. Take fingers.
So he already gave to
He
that.
came on his own with that. That wasn't because of the leash.
So that could have been because of my body moving away, but this is going to be another
So
example.
I don't want him eating this. I'm going to pull him away from this. Gives me a step and I lose him.
So it took us a long time to work on this, to get him this soft and to be consistent. And by a long time, I mean, it took me a year relatively to teach him in every tool possible to be this soft. When he used to pull as hard as that Staffie, and granted he's not the same size when we started this, but and he's been practicing this for many years, so lots of reinforcement. But
Good boy.
I would practice where your dog can see another dog and they can still give in to pressure that lightly. First off, in a harness or even a collar, that's fine too. I taught Adonis to move that way into a collar as well, to be that light on a collar as well. I want to teach that first because those are the prerequisites that I would, I want the dog to be able to fall back on. That when they do see a dog, if they start pulling, I can still get them back on a loose leash very easily, or fairly easily. So that way we can still keep the dog's brain. When they're pulling like this, and they're going into fight or flight, and they're already all jacked up, then they're in hindbrain. They're reactive. Where I want them to be able to be in front brain. So if I'm not adding extra pressure to them, literally and physically, then we can have them, at least they're able to think a little bit more. And we can, I can move them around and move their body and whatnot.
She said he's one of the most fearful dogs she's ever met, but he hides it really well with all of this, like, in-your-faceness. Is he all right, just winning?
Yeah, it's fine. We put little posts and things for the dogs to wee on.
So just
He
pulling,
doesn't normally even cock his leg to wait, to be honest.
friendly,
Normally,
excited, really pulling.
How old is he?
6.
6.
6
Any
and a
health
half.
problems?
No.
Joint problems?
No, not at all. No, it's good.
Yeah, aren't you?
Yep, told you. So he's going to put a tiny slip lead on this dog, and that's how he's going to gain control of the dog. She has a nice wide flat buckle collar. So, I mean, it's still uncomfortable for him to pull in it, don't get me wrong, but this hurts far more than this. That's how he's going to get control. He's going to put it high behind the skull, and that much mass and pressure, it's going to hurt, so he's not going to pull as much. That's how he gets control, is by using pain, intimidation, pain compliance.
Come here. Put your head in there. Thank you. Good boy.
So basically, this collar doesn't hurt enough to stop him, but this one does. And it's not changing any behavior. It's just stopping the dog from reacting, from pulling. It's just stopping the outward behavior, but it doesn't help change anything. It doesn't change the dog's comfort level, or it doesn't teach the dog anything else other than just don't pull, or don't act up while you have this here collar on. If he goes back into any other product, then he will. This is just holding him back. This is doing nothing.
Just take him for a second.
Yeah.
Ouch. Ouch.
Have you ever walked him on a slip lead?
Never.
Never.
No, because she's smart.
against them. I
No.
just I don't know how to.
No,
You don't need to. You had him just fine in this collar. You just need to work on teaching him to be able to give into pressure lightly, without having to rely on pain. I mean, he can do this in a finger because he's using leverage and pain versus I'm walking Adonis in a harness that clips in the back around his whole little body. We're out at the park. He's on he has 10 feet, 15 feet of leash here.
Bring him away.
His little face.
He's even pulling a lot more than normal because he wants to chew on this grass.
Exactly.
But he gets itchy from it. I want him.
It's itchy, and then he ends up throwing it up, and I just, mainly he just gets allergies from it.
To demonstrate pressure.
Now see,
Okay, so now we're walking.
so
I
we're
don't care what
walking.
he is in front of me. He can have this whole leash.
15 feet of leash, I
If
think.
I don't want him to pull, I will just stop walking forward. Leash get
And he
tight.
just stops right there.
You can see I use
Didn't fight it.
this much. I'm going to move him to the side.
I move to the side to get a little bit more leverage, so I'm not just pulling back on his body, teaching him to brace.
Pressure, pressure, step, loosen.
And I don't usually do that with him. Usually, I mean, he's a little confused here. Usually I might, stop him way over here, or I might, call him or move up to him if I stop him, but this is just for the demonstration.
Oh, yes.
So you don't need that tiny slip lead. This is far less impressive to me than if I saw him teaching the dog in a harness that clips from the back.
Sensible. I just want to see if he's ever used it or
Ouch.
anything like
No,
that.
he's always just been on the flat collar.
Good.
He did have a harness.
Good. I mean, that's even better. Like, the nice wide flat collar can still cause damage, to the trachea, but you can teach him to pull, to not pull in a flat collar and a harness. And you don't ever have to rely on the slip lead.
What we realised that was just giving him extra strength.
And it's not necessary. I mean, it's much more easy for the dog to pull this in a harness, but it doesn't mean that you cannot teach them not to pull in it. I mean, like I just showed you with Adonis, when he was, between 6 months and 2 years, he pulled like a little freight train. I tried everything until I finally just worked with pressure and release, gentle, soft hands. And I don't have to rely on this nonsense of choking and causing pain. And it's very sensitive around the neck. You have the thyroid gland, you have the trachea, blood flow, nerves. So imagine this being around your neck, around your midsection, having someone, with the equal proportions of this guy to this dog, pulling and yanking on you. You're not going to pull all your weight against that little tiny lead. Versus if you had like a couple of belts or a 2-inch belt around here, you could put a little bit more force into it.
So I just want to slow him down because his brain is moving at 100 miles an hour.
Well, he's in a new environment.
Dragging in, hunkering down, everything like that.
So if I'm working with a dog in a new environment, I don't even expect to start training them until we're at least 10 to 15 minutes of just sniffing. I make sure that they get, they're running or they're zoomies in, they get to go potty, they make sure that they have, plenty of water, they've been fed. Let them just get some sniffing in. Even with Adonis, if I would go somewhere new and I wanted to work on any kind of behavior, recall or just, stop and look at me or whatever, we would go sniff for at least 5 minutes, because he worked with me every day. If it's a new client, then I would have them sniff for 10 minutes, get used to the area, and then we can start working on just walking in this little area on loose leash. And we can continue sniffing just on leash. And every time they pull, I would stop, bring them back that step like I showed you with Adonis, and that would be all we would work on until they're as soft as Adonis was. And then I would introduce other dogs at a distance.
So one, I want to teach him what the end of the lead means, and one of the easiest ways of doing that is teaching the dog the concept of pressure and release. He's used to, if I pull into this.
Yeah.
But the way they say it with pressure and release really isn't... I mean, I guess it's pressure and release, but it's really not. I mean, they're taking it and kind of tweaking it. Of course he's going to give into a tiny slip lead. Teach pressure and release the way I did with my Shiba, with a harness that doesn't have the little gimmick where it turns their body around with the hook on the front. in a back-facing harness, back-clipping harness, whatever, and use that as much pressure as it takes for them to take a step in and loosen. Just like horses. Horses taught me how to train dogs on leash. Because with a horse, I want to have just as soft hands. I use a rope halter. I don't use a bit. When riding them and when not riding them. And if you want to just take your fingers and be able to pull take their head away, they move to pressure very, very lightly. As soon as they do, you loosen. Not this nonsense. I mean, it's easy to say, oh yeah, using pressure and release and make it look like it works when you use pain and tiny strings around an animal's neck and then say, yeah, it's just pressure and release. Because that's not going to work unless you teach them. What's impressive to me, I guess I'll say, is teaching this dog, which is very, very capable of learning pressure and release on this wide, flat buckle collar where you don't have a cheat or a gimmick of this tiny slip lead or a prong collar.
I can still get to where I want to be. I want to teach him that this has meaning. So at the top of the head, it's going to give me way more control than down here.
Because it's sensitive, because it's tiny compared to this one, a lot less surface area.
Here is the safe zone. When you go in front...
Okay, we got a massive reactive mastiff over here. A massive mastiff over here that's already reactive and staring. If this is your demo dog, you already got problems. And he already has tension on the leash. He always has a very, very short leash. I would have this dog way over here to where I could have them on a harness, on a loose leash. They could have all their leash, but I'd be aware that, if they're going to run, I don't want them to just go, run to the end of it and clothesline themselves. I'd be aware of that. But that would be impressive. That's how I work. Have them over here until they can be on the end of their loose leash. They can look at the dog. They're not choosing to go anywhere. If they want to sniff, they can. If they look at me, I can reward them with a treat. This guy always has a little, cheesy treat pouch he never uses. Making it seem like it's positive, but it's not. He's just choking the dog like anybody else does. Constant choking, constant pressure on a slip lead. That's it.
That puts him in a position where he has to start getting a bit
The dog
defensive.
is stressed.
So,
Again, obsessed with heel. The dog doesn't even know how to walk on a loose leash. You throw a slip lead on, you choke them, and force them into a heel, and flood them and claim that you're going to help this dog get over his reactivity of other dogs. Even though your demo dog is the one that's just going absolutely crazy over here, not being a good demo dog. I mean, you can build your way up to that, teach this dog to tolerate a number of things, but she's going to be impressed by this, probably. A lot of people will be impressed by this because you see in, a 23-minute video, which we don't know how long they've been here. It could have been an hour, could have been 4 hours. They're going to see some change in the dog going from being reactive to accepting. But that's just it. The dog is accepting, but they're tolerating it. The presence of another dog. They don't feel safe. They're just here because they have to be.
I want to teach him what the
Choke,
lead means.
ouch.
So I want to
Choke,
start to walk
ouch.
nice and slowly.
Stress tongue.
I want him to follow
Ouch.
me.
Constant correction. He has to follow me if he's in front, blah, 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 all this other nonsense. Your dog can be in front of you, behind you, or getting a piggyback ride on your back, and they don't think that they're higher or lower than you. They don't think of humans as everything that is social has a hierarchy, but dogs don't think of humans as other dogs. They will never see us as another dog. They see us as a primate, as something else. A two-legged person that means good things. They hear the jingle of keys and we go for a car ride to the park. Or they see the leash, we're going for a walk with my human. That's it. Or they see little kids as tasty little snacks, little tiny two-leggers that taste good because they always have, some kind of something sticky on them, or they always have some goodies in their pockets, or they have really fun toys, which might just be their shoes, Dogs don't think that way.
The thing I want to get him in the habit of is when
Stress tongue.
I stop, I pull up.
Ouch.
Because I want him
Ouch.
not there.
Ouch! Just constant choking. He's working way too fast. He's working 1,000 miles ahead, and this dog doesn't even know how to give in to pressure on a regular flat buckle collar, and he's going to try and teach this dog algebra, and he doesn't know 2 + 2. And every time the dog just does what he knows, he's going to get corrected for it. So he's going to say, what's 2 + 2? The dog's going to say, I don't know. He's going to correct him for it. And the dog's just going to have to guess. This is not impressive.
right there.
Ow, ow, ow.
He's so used to taking that extra step in front.
Who cares? Anybody would be anybody would be used to taking another step. What does it matter? But these people are so, like, psychotic. They're so controlling. They're so just... These people are so controlling. It's just psychotic. I mean, I don't get how you can be have this big of an ego, this inflated of an ego, maybe because you have your own thing, you have your own YouTube channel, you have all these people that follow you, people that work for you, and then you get your ego inflated all the time. You know, people telling you, oh, you do great work, oh, you're saving lives, oh, this and that, this and that. You know what? This isn't impressive. Anybody can do this. They don't have to pay anybody hundreds or even thousands of dollars to do this. She could do this to her own dog, but she didn't think to do it because she actually cares about her dog and how her dog feels. He doesn't, because he doesn't have any bond with this dog. He doesn't care. He doesn't have to care. Just paying the money and on you go. And I don't care if people say, oh, you're saving lives. They're not saving squat. Okay, they may keep the dog, in the home or keep the dog from, say, being euthanized, but it's really not helping the dog. It's just helping the human in that moment. The dog is going to live a miserable life. I'm not saying this dog's going to necessarily live a miserable life, but who knows what could happen after this. If she doesn't keep up with this, she's going to have to rely on using pain and intimidation and continuously using this tiny slip lead to control this dog. And she will never learn past that, because these trainers, it's the blind leading the blind. He will remain ignorant, and therefore he will reinforce that for her to remain ignorant, unless she has a brain, which sounds like she does, and she continues to learn. These types of people, trainers, these trainers are stuck in the past. They may have 40 years of experience, but they have 1 year of experience 40 times. They trained a dog for 1 year, and they've done that same exact thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. I've only been in this professionally training for, it'll be going on almost 9 years, 8.5 years. And I had that experience once, because each year, each month, each day, I learn. I grow. I take accountability for what I do wrong, what I can do better. These people don't. They're just stuck. When you only have one tool in your toolbox is a hammer, you view every problem as a nail. All they ever have is a slip lead or a prong collar or a shock collar. They have punishment. That is their one tool. That's how they use it for everything. Punishment and flooding.
And I don't want him to do that. I want him
Well, then teach him what you want.
Little step in front just to break it so he doesn't stare too much.
So very stressed tongue right here. A lot of times I'll call it like a wet blanket on a horse, where if you're I know they're two different creatures, and they are treated as such because they interact differently. But if you take a horse and put him in a round pen, you can have them run 20 minutes at a full speed run because you're chasing them with a whip and you're making them go and run circles, and they get really sweaty that way in 20 minutes. Or you can go for a 4-mile walk just down the trail. You're just walking, you're not running, but you're going 4 miles, 2 miles there and 2 miles back, and your horse is sweaty there. So the difference is, one was caused by stress and anxiety, the other was from work and tiring themselves out, and you work with them and you bond and this and that. This would be the wet saddle blanket, would be the sweaty horse running around in the arena type of a tongue, type of behavior for a dog. Because they don't sweat like horses do, again, different creatures, but they have stressed tongues, they sweat, their tongue will become spatulate, spread out, trying to get more airflow, or cool themselves off because they're basically sweating because they're nervous. Stressed.
Looking turns to fixating, turns to reacting. Looking and looking away, cracking choice. Because if I become, that's going to travel down to him. The reality is...
So this whole time while he's sitting here, this dog looks just as hopeless too. Shut down, fearful, whatever. This whole time the dog is sitting here, you could be rewarding him, giving him a treat, giving him, food is the fastest way to be able to reinforce a dog, and usually the number one way to overcome fear. If a dog doesn't eat food, they're too stressed, they're too over threshold, they're too close to the trigger. So if he could have this dog on the back of a harness or even this flat buckle collar and have him have 4 feet of loose leash with this dog nearby, that would be impressive. Without ever having to touch the dog, correct the dog, or any of that. Using positive reinforcement, that is impressive. This is not. This is easy. He could be rewarding the dog now, but no, they don't ever get any reward other than not being popped on by the leash, choked, hit with a shock collar.
Because if I become frantic, guess what?
Again, this dog is only here because of the pain of the slip lead. He's totally tuning this guy out, doesn't care at all. He's way over threshold. But he's this dog looks like they developed learned helplessness. Ouch. So again, why did it work? Because of pain. Because of leverage. I mean, he even did the little wrist twitch like he was going to pop him again. Or get his leash right. I mean, this dog has... these trainers all the time have their dog on maybe 6 inches of leash. She's going to have to rely on this one tool just to keep her dog in check. It's not ever going to help the issue. It's going to teach him to shut down, to stop showing the warning signs, and then one day he may react and bite, he may redirect on her, he may just, shut down, he may go totally psychotic.
I'm on top of him before he has an opportunity to escalate.
So you're not teaching him anything other than don't react. If you are afraid of something, if you're afraid of dogs, or whatever your biggest fear is, and we had you right here, and we had a tiny, this around your wrist, and around your neck, and, around each wrist and your neck, and it comes barreling, whatever your scariest thing is, whether it's a mouse, or a snake, or an elephant, or a cougar, comes barreling through here, and you try to run away, and every time you try to run away, you feel this intense pressure, pulling your wrists in different direction, and pulling up on your throat, and you feel trapped, and every time you react, you get this correction. Are you going to keep correcting? I mean, are you going to keep reacting? Probably not after a while. You're going to develop learned helplessness. You're going to say, hey, this doesn't work. You're going to shut down, or you're going to accept it. That's flooding. But does it help you feel any more comfortable around this, whatever this trigger is? No. Chances are it's not going to.
Make sure that I'm using the tools that give me the control.
Yeah, you're going to rely on those tools. It looks like he has a cooling vest on. You're relying on tools to give you control because you don't know what the hell you're doing. You are unskilled. You're just an idiot. Really. You're just a big mouth bully is what you are. You're able to bully dogs around and you make money off of it. You know what? Good for you, I guess. I don't care.
Months ago, when he was he's not allowed in the garden on his own because of his reaction.
Tail is
but I hadn't realised
not as high now, a little bit more tucked.
In the garden, I spotted him, and one of the horses was in the arena, just going round with it, having a ride round, and he was just watching it. He wasn't doing anything at all. He was just watching it. He wasn't barking. He wasn't unhappy.
See, his tail is tucking now. Stress. This dog is really nervous. So before that's it. I'm just going to keep talking and talking, but that was it. I'm just going to keep this as a short one. People who have seen my take on this guy before know that I don't like him. I'm not impressed. This is just annoying. Hopefully you all enjoyed seeing my good boy Adonis here, just hanging out, just going out for a little sniff and a little walk. I do appreciate everybody stopping by. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more. Like or dislike, whatever you feel is appropriate. Let me know what you thought of this video. You can always check out my Patreon. There's a link down below. For as little as $2 a month, you can help support the channel. And you'll get special longer takes of these videos, as well as just special videos that go up. For $4, you can even get your own particular video made answering a personal question for yourself, for your dog training. So thanks for stopping by, everyone. I do appreciate it. Hope you all are doing well. Give your little critters some kind of loving for me. Say howdy do. And until next time, stay positive.